I am Jenilee Moody, and this is my final presentation for ABA 698 on the teaching interaction procedure. The teaching interaction procedure is a strategy that is used to teach social skills to individuals. It can be used with learners with social skill deficits of any age. And it's very similar to BST, with the exception that the teaching interaction procedure includes rationales of the skill, where BST does not. I'll get into the steps of the TIP a little bit later, but it is a 6-step teaching strategy that is used. It can be used in a one-on-one setting or in a group setting with a number of individuals. And it can also be used in a classroom, in a social skills group, in natural environments, in a variety of different environments to teach those social skills. The steps of the teaching interaction procedure are very simple. You're going to label and identify the skill, describe a rationale, describe the skill, demonstrate and model that skill, role play with the client, provide feedback, and if necessary, practice again. So during the first step, you are simply going to label the skill that needs to be taught. During the second step, you're going to give a rationale very specific to the learner about why that skill is important. In the third step, you'll describe the steps of the skill. You're going to break it down into smaller steps, similar to the way you would break a task into a task analysis. You're going to break that overall skill into smaller observable steps for the learner. During the fourth step, the instructor or teacher is going to model that skill with another teacher, adult, or other proficient student. After the model, a short discussion will take place describing what the model looked like, what went well, and how that skill was demonstrated. In the fifth step, the learner will role play the targeted skill with the teacher or instructor. And during the sixth step, the last step, feedback will be provided to the learner, and if necessary, that skill can be practiced again. So with the feedback, you're going to discuss what went well, what the learner did right, and what the learner could improve on. And then that learner will be given another opportunity to practice that skill again. The teaching interaction procedure can be used to teach a wide variety of skills, such as interviewing, giving and responding to compliments, various aspects of conversation skills, such as entering and exiting conversations, body language, eye contact, or discussing preferred or non-preferred topics. It can be used with gameplay, such as turn taking and accepting loss, or inviting a peer to play. It can be used with responding to bullying or identifying when an individual is being bullied. It can also be used with teaching appropriate behavior in community or other social settings, such as what to do in a classroom, a library, a doctor's or dentist appointment, a wedding, a family gathering, or a birthday party. It can also be used to teach how to pay for groceries in a grocery store, how to purchase things, how to order food or tip at a restaurant, as well as a variety of other skills, such as keeping your hands to yourself when walking in the hallway, when walking next to someone, as well as many other skills. In the article by Kasarjan et al. In 2013, they wanted to use the teaching interaction procedure to teach skills in the natural environment. And they wanted to evaluate how well those social skills were taught in that natural environment. So 5 participants were used, ages 4 to 13, and all of them were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. They used an individual setting for the teaching sessions, and the rationales used in the TIP were highly individualized. So the the rationales were very specific to that learner. The teaching sessions were conducted using the individual sessions or settings, but generalization probes were conducted where social interactions would naturally occur, such as in the community, school, or on playdates with peers. And those were conducted weekly. The study went on for approximately 7 months, and results indicated that the teaching interaction procedure was very effective in teaching social skills to all of its participants, and that it can be used with individuals of a wide range of skill deficits and cognitive abilities. So Leaf et al. In 2010 wanted to assess how effective the teaching interaction procedure was in teaching social skills in a group setting. And they looked at the efficacy of teaching those social skills to children with PDD. 5 participants were used, ages 4 to 6, and they all also had autism. Social skills groups met twice per week for 1.5 hours each time, and they used structured and non-structured games and other skills not related to the study. The group games that were conducted consisted of Duck Duck Goose, painting, reading stories, and other similar types games. The non-related other skills consisted of identifying emotions and practicing social communication. The 4 skills that were taught, so all learners were taught the same 4 skills using the teaching interaction procedure, and those were showing appreciation, giving a compliment, making an empathetic statement, and changing a game when someone isn't interested. And at the end of the study, 2 of the participants mastered all 4 skills. 1 participant mastered 3 of the 4 skills, and 2 participants mastered 2 of those skills. So this study did show that using the teaching interaction procedure was very effective in teaching those skills in a group setting, as those skills were taught to those individuals. Now in 2012, Leaf et al. Wanted to compare the teaching interaction procedure to social stories. There is a fair amount of evidence supporting the use of social stories and the teaching interaction procedure with social skill acquisition to children and adolescents with ASD. However, there is limited research on their effectiveness. So Leaf et al. Wanted to evaluate the generalization and effectiveness of each. 6 participants were used, ages 5 through 13, all with autism spectrum disorder. 18 social skills were targeted using each procedure, and all 18 skills were taught to mastery using the teaching interaction procedure, while only 4 skills were mastered using social stories. The study showed that greater skill acquisition of social skills with the teaching interaction procedure than with social stories. So it is suggested in this study that the role-playing aspect of the teaching interaction procedure may be an important component for increasing the effectiveness of this procedure, and that may be the big difference between the TIP and the social stories. In 2016, Ng et al. Used a modified teaching interaction procedure, and they looked at skill acquisition, maintenance, generalization, and skills during the teaching procedure to teach social skills to children with ASD and intellectual disabilities. They used 4 participants, ages 9 through 15, with autism spectrum disorder and low IQs. 3 social skills were taught. They modified the teaching interaction procedure by using praise and tokens provided during each correct responding. Typically, there are no tokens or praise given during any steps of the teaching interaction procedure. Feedback is only given on the very last step, and there's not any prompting during the teaching interaction procedure. So during this study, the modifications were praise and tokens were provided, feedback to correct any incorrect or non-response during each step, and flexible prompt fading was used during the entire procedure. Target skills were based on interviews with parents, supervisors, and therapists. So the social skills that were taught were targeted for the individuals themselves. And the modified TIP demonstrated that there were improvements in teaching social skills to the participants using that modified procedure. So even though the procedure was modified slightly to accommodate the low IQs of those participants, it was still shown to be effective in teaching those social skills. In 2016, Peters et al. Set out to expand on the 2010 Leaf et al. Study by using 4 participants, ages 8 and 10, in a school-based setting. They had 2 main questions that they wanted to look at. 1, to what extent will a group TIP, when taught in a school setting, improve school skills or social skills of students with ASD? And 2, when intervention ends, what will the extent of those social skills be maintained over time? And so they looked at using a group teaching procedure to teach those skills to the participants during this study. 4 social skills were taught. All participants were taught the same social skills. They used the same teaching interaction procedure steps. And at the end of the study, they had all mastered those social skills. And after the study concluded, once they went back to check for generalization, all of the skills had been maintained at the conclusion and afterwards of the study. So this shows that, or the study shows that the group teaching procedure used in the school setting was effective to teach those social skills to those participants in the school setting. Over the course of the semester, I have learned a great deal on the teaching interaction procedure, and I have been able to implement it and use it under the direction of my BCBA with many of my clients that I currently work with. I've learned that you can use this in a group setting or in a one-on-one situation. You can use it with clients of all ages and all abilities, and you can modify it to fit your client's specific needs. It can be taught for any and all social skills that you can think of. Anything from gameplay and conversations to tipping at a restaurant and how to order food at McDonald's, how to keep your hands to yourself when you're walking in the hallway or when you are in a classroom, how to keep your hands to yourself and not grab other people's belongings, how to respond to bullying. Lots of different social skills can be used and can be taught using the teaching interaction procedure. Pretty much anything you can think of, any social skill that you may encounter that your learner is lacking in, you can use this procedure as a strategy to teach them that skill. So overall, this strategy can be very effective and very useful to have in your toolbox with your learners should you need this.